How should one respond to that? What can I say? If this is how one can deal with dictators, then the United States of America knows what to do next. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've spoken about a major reset, including in the military. Is there a plan to replace Commander-in-Chief Zelenskyy? And could you tell about the reset in the military sector? And I am also interested in your view on online voting. Thank you.
As for the reset, all processes are involved. The Cabinet of Ministers, the law enforcement system, the security system, the Ministry of Defense. And from the Ministry of Defense, of course, come not only the production facilities of Ukrainian defense industry but also the armed forces of Ukraine. We are talking about steps taken one by one. There is no plan to replace the Commander-in-Chief today. Today, the replacement of the Commander-in-Chief is not expected.
Regarding online voting.
Online voting. I very much wanted this when the COVID challenges began. This was even before the full-scale invasion. I really wanted it, and I appealed to members of parliament. I told them that it seemed to me the situation itself, although COVID was not positive and many people suffered, but nevertheless it gave us a technological opportunity to try appropriate steps. Let's make legislative changes. I wanted to start by creating an online parliament. I have always supported this. Because I implemented this in the President's office at the start of COVID online. And I did it with the cabinet. And we all worked together. People may have forgotten, but it was helpful during the full-scale invasion. It helped greatly because when institutionally almost nothing was working, all our online formats were already functioning. Absolutely, because during COVID we were prepared. At that time, I wanted our parliament to work online as much as possible, so it wouldn't stop or slow the legislative process. People may not remember this either. But processes were slowed, which would have allowed us to act quickly in Parliament during the war. Even at the beginning of the invasion, these processes were not fast. Of course, this is a different challenge. I'm not comparing it to COVID, but introducing such technologies shows whether you can move forward. And what does next mean? Next is not only functioning institutions but also the possibility of holding elections for the leaders online. That would give us an opportunity. We were thinking, what if COVID were to last for a very long time? It had to be done. In my opinion, if we had done this then, there would be no question today about elections during wartime. If legislative changes had been made during COVID, everyone would understand whether it works or not. During COVID, it could have been tested, the risks were not as high. Today, it is difficult for me to say what elections should look like. Of course, an online format would probably help people who are abroad, because there are many of them. But first and foremost, the priority would be those who are here. Our military on the front line. If we were talking about elections during the war, people at the front who cannot vote in the usual format, because they are defending the state, they would probably benefit from an online format. Probably it would work online. Today this is not the case, there are no such legislative changes. I have sent signals regarding working out what elections could look like now. During the war, during a ceasefire, not during a ceasefire, for example. But only when the airspace is closed. For example, if the war continues, unfortunately. But there are partial agreements that a referendum or elections take place. When there are no missile or drone strikes. Is this possible? I have conveyed my signals to our parliamentarians. I have not received any answers yet.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. SIG TV, Portugal. Mr. President, You just said that there are two paths to peace, and that the first path is the one we are going through now, diplomacy. In your opinion, what leverage can our partners, Ukraine's partners, including the United States, use to force or pressure Russia to sign these documents?
Talking. Not just talking on the phone, but talking through sanctions, talking through military support for Ukraine. Many processes are slowed down, for example, air defense. The Russians know this very well, they are aware and see many things. To apply pressure. We want the United States to apply stronger pressure. Although, to be honest, their team worked very intensively with our team throughout December. In fact, very intensively. I am grateful to them for that. And I do not believe there is a real, fast alternative to the dialogue that exists now. What could be an alternative path? The United States withdraws, and then Europe takes the lead in this process. But is it faster than the American one? I'm sure not. Because a great deal has already been worked out, and we must respect people's work and their time. Because every minute people are suffering in Ukraine, first and foremost. And so I believe there is no alternative to this. But I also do not believe we should live only in the format of there is no alternative and prepare nothing. This is a problem. That is why parallel tracks must also be built. Please, let's have the last question. It's yours.
Irina Kozuha, Ukrinform. Mr. President, as of today, are there any restrictions from international partners on the use of their weapons for deep strikes? If so, which countries specifically do not allow the use of such weapons? Thank you.
Thank you for asking. In my opinion, we have entered a phase where what we have, we use. And what we are not allowed to use is simply not supplied to us.